Hey, it's Brett, and this is Brett and Some Books. This is a continuation of the plot to seize the White House by Jules Archer. This is chapter 24 of part 2. Army posts he visited often hailed the ex-Marine with the military band, partly a tribute to his fame as commandant of the Army Command at Pontonaison, but even more for his championship of the bonus army and veterans hospitals. Wherever he spoke to veterans, meetings and rallies, enthusiastic ex-soldiers invariably outnumbered ex-Marines in his audience. In his speeches for the VFW, he continued to plead their cause, along with the assailing war makers and demanding payment of the veterans' bonus. In March, he was urged to attend the Indiana convention of the VFW at Marion, which had the largest veterans hospital in the United States. John R. James, its chairman, asked him to come and say something to those poor boys here to cheer them up in their lonesome surroundings. We need you here at this time more than any other person in the country. The veterans all love you and look to you to guide them, to tell them what to do. I am unable to mention your name in meeting without getting a round of applause. He was gratified to read on April 12, 1934, that the Senate had voted an inquiry into the manufacture of and traffic in arms. Senator Gerald P. Nye of North Dakota, as chairman of the Senate Munitions Investigations Committee, began public hearings stressing the heavy profits made by American financiers and armament makers during World War I. The Nye Committee produced shockwaves by exposing the pressures exerted by the armament industry on the government to take America into that war. Oswald Garrison Villard, editor-publisher of The Nation, wrote, "I never dreamed that I would live to see the time when public opinion of the United States would be practically united in recognizing that we were lied to and deceived into going into war, and when Congress would actually put a stop to those processes which Wilson, House, Lansing, and J.P. Morgan and Company brought us into the war." The Nye investigation, continuing until 1936, strengthened isolationist sentiment in the United States and inspired a series of neutrality acts during 1935 to 1937. Following the hearings closely, Butler was tremendously impressed and influenced by their disclosures. They also confirmed his suspicions that big business, Standard Oil, United Fruit, the Sugar Trust, the big banks, had been behind most of the military interventions he had been ordered to lead. In a broadcast over Philadelphia radio station WCAU, he described his experiences in the raping of little nations to collect money for big industries that had large foreign investments. Authentication for this view came 38 years later when Milan B. Scasel, president of the Chamber of Commerce of Latin America in the United States, acknowledged on October 16, 1971, "Most of us freely admit that some of the past business practices of U.S. firms in Latin America were unconscionable." Testifying before the Nye Committee, Eugene G. Grace, president of Bethlehem Steel, admitted that his corporation had received almost $3 million in bonuses during World War I. He nervously expressed concern that such a revelation might leave a bad taste in the mouths of veterans who had served their country for $1 a day, but nevertheless labeled their bonus movement an unfortunate enterprise. "Bethlehem Steel made 10 times as much money during the war as before," Butler roared over WCAU, "and this band of pirates calls the soldiers treasury raiders." Here's reporter friends to get transcripts of the Nye hearings and read them, insisting, "You fellows ought to know this stuff." Juan wanted to know what had prompted him, even before the Nye disclosures, to pull the whiskers off the face of commercialism behind the pomp and patriotic glory of war. "As a youngster, I loved the excitement of battle," he replied. "It was lots of fun, and it's nice to strut around in front of your wife, or somebody else's wife, and display your medals and your uniform. But there's another side to it, and that's why I've decided to devote the rest of my life to pulling off the whiskers." During his VFW lecture tour, he met an old war comrade, G.D. Morgan, who is now an adjutant of the VFW post in Hazelhurst, Mississippi, and confided in him about the scheming of McGuire, Doyle, and Clark. On May 14th, 1934, Morgan wrote him, "My dear Smed, I wish you would send me the statistics as near as possible that you have on those 2 ex-servicemen and the banker. We are getting in the middle of a hot congressional campaign, and one senator has been very adverse to our cause, and so we want to shoot the works." That month, the Farmer Labor Party of Colorado urged Butler to become the party's candidate for president in 1936, stating, "We know of no other man in the U.S. that is as well informed on the situation with the nerve to carry it out, make possible these reforms, and that has the confidence of the masses. The people need you badly."